One of my clients just bought a house for $59,000. It's a single family home, 5 bedroom, 1 bath. There's a Section 8 tenant in there paying $23.70 a month. And after all expenses, so that's the mortgage, taxes, insurance, everything, this property nets over $1,300 a month in profit. A $59,000 house netting over $1,300 per month. And I'm going to walk you through every number on this deal so that you can see exactly how a single rental property can generate more cash flow than most people's entire stock portfolios. Okay. So my name is Sean. I own over 20 rental properties using this same strategy. It's a multi-7-figure portfolio that I built over 3.5 years. And it generates over 6 figures, over $100,000 a year in net cash flow. This is money that I can use for all of my living expenses. Now, if you are someone who makes really good money, if you're a high-income professional and you're making $200K, $300K, maybe more per year, and you've been looking at real estate, but you've never seen how a good deal, a good cash flowing deal actually works, then this video is going to be for you, because I'm going to show you exactly how you can buy these cheap properties and generate an enormous amount of cash flow every single month. And if at any point while watching this video, you're thinking you'd like someone to find and help you buy deals just like this and help you build a rental portfolio, cash flowing properties, and do it completely remote, there's a link in the description. It's going to go over to a page of the short video that explains exactly how we can help you do that. Now, in the meantime, let's get into this deal and go through the numbers so you can see exactly how this deal works. Now, I'm going to go over here on my computer screen. It's a Google Doc. I'm going to walk you through some proof and show you exactly how this deal broke down. Okay. So step number 1 is we need to find and buy a deal. This particular deal was from a wholesaler. What wholesalers do is they reach out. It's an off-market deal, meaning it is not on like Zillow or Redfin or the MLS that you can see publicly. So wholesalers, what they do is they reach out to people who maybe they're thinking about selling their homes, but they haven't reached out to a realtor, or they don't want to list it with the realtor and pay the fees, and they don't want to go through all of that, the formal process. So a wholesaler will reach out and they'll get it under contract. In this case, the wholesaler got it under contract for $50,000, and the wholesaler will make money by marking up the price and then reassigning the contract to an investor like my client. So my client got this, you can see here, for $59,000. And this is not including closing costs. I'm going to break that down as well in the final numbers. So the first step is to find and buy a deal. We buy most of our deals. It kind of goes back and forth. Right now, we're finding a lot of really good lighter rehabbing turnkey deals directly on the MLS. But for a period of time, for about 1.5 years, I was getting 95% of my deals from wholesalers. So this particular deal was from a wholesaler, and my client got it for $59,000. It's a 5-bed, 1-bath. And yeah, I know that sounds pretty crazy, but her house is like this that exists. Okay. Now, step 2 is once we close on the property, then we have to renovate it. So this property was pretty beat up. It needed quite a bit of work. It basically needed like a full gut and a rehab. So I have a really good contracting team. We specialize in these types of houses and these types of properties, and we can get it done very quickly. The contractor I work with gets very quality work done quickly and at probably the best prices that I've seen in this market. So step number 2 is to renovate. And these are some pictures. We don't have too many before pictures because my contractor didn't really take them, but he did a bunch of FaceTimes and it was beat to crap. Like there was tons of trash in here. We needed probably 5 or 6 like massive dumpsters to clean out the house, and the walls were all beat up, the flooring was all crap. And so he came and did this entire rehab in about a month. And this was during winter. This is in the Midwest, it's in Ohio, so it's kind of hard to work during the winter, but he got this entire rehab done in about a month. And you could see some pictures of what it looks like after. So we got some carpet in some rooms, we got some hardwood here, and we made the bathroom look nice. And so these are not like super luxury houses. They're affordable houses, but we make them look nice, right? They're nice and they're livable for someone, for a family in this case, a family of 5 or 6 people. So this is the scope of work. This is what we did. I'm not going to go through this, but you could see the total rehab cost. This is directly from the contractor. This was his bill to us, or to my client, for $31,450. My client paid with a credit card, so there's an additional 3% fee, and this is the result, okay? Now, once we finish the renovation, then we go and we find a tenant. So we list it on platforms like affordablehousing.com, Zillow, we post in some Facebook groups. And so for our clients, we do all this for them. We do all the marketing, the listing for them. We get the pictures, we list it, and then we start talking to tenants and making sure that we screen them correctly. Okay. So we list it on these platforms, and then we do the showings as well. We have a few agents on our team that will go and do the show-ins for people who are interested. So we'll screen these tenants, and then once we find somebody, then we go to the housing authority, the housing authority for the county, and then we submit what's called a request for tenancy approval. It's the packet that the tenant has to say, hey, we found somebody who would like to move in. They had a Section 8 voucher, and the voucher will specify, it'll say like how many bedrooms that the person is qualified for. So we're looking, in this case, it's a 5-bedroom house for someone who has a 5-bedroom voucher. So we found that person, we screened them, we made sure that there's no violent criminal history, there's no bankruptcies, there's no major collections that are still going on, and there's no evictions, okay? And so those are the main things that we look for. We also have them do a walkthrough video of their own house. And you could see here, this is a rent offer. So rent offer comes from the county, the housing authority, and we submitted a request for $2,599, okay? And I got this number from going to the HUD site, HUD, and we look for the maximum amount for our particular zip code and bedroom count that will be paid through the Section 8 program. And so $2,599 was the maximum amount for this zip code. And why wouldn't we go to the maximum amount? Okay, so the government we're submitting this, and whatever they approve, the government is going to pay a portion or up to 100% of the rent. And so you could see here, the requested rent of $2,599 is reasonable but not affordable for a tenant's name. CMHA, which is the name of the housing authority, is offering a rent amount of $2,370. If you accept, CMHA will pay $2,370. The tenant will pay $0. Okay? I like this personally. Some people don't like this, but I like this because what this means is every month, in the first few days of every month, I get $2,370, or my client gets $2,370 direct deposited into their account every single month. They don't have to talk to the tenants. They don't have to chase them around for rent. There's no late payments. When COVID was going on and all of that, these payments still continue to come in. Okay. So don't bet against the government. Why wouldn't I want to have guaranteed payments every month from the government? And this is a lot higher than the market rents we're going to see in this particular area. I would say it's around $1,400 a month. So we're getting almost $1,000 more a month in rent just through the Section 8 program. Okay, that's why we like this program so much. Now, once we find a tenant and we get them moved in, then we go back to the lender. So in this case, I forgot to mention, this particular client, you could purchase in cash, but since it needed a heavy rehab, about $32,000, you could use what's called a hard money lender. And they will give you, sometimes if you're working with the right lender, they will give you 90 to 100% of the rehab, and you take it out through a draw process. Now, my client ended up not needing the rehab loan because he was actually using 0% interest business credit cards instead to fund the rehab. But he used a hard money loan anyway to purchase the property. And so if you have a hard money lender, they will fund 90 to 100% of the rehab, which means you don't have to go out of pocket for it, but you still need to find the correct deal. So we went back to that lender that gave us the hard money loan to purchase the property. And we said, hey, it's fixed up now. We found a tenant. Let's do a refinance. So refinance, we go and the lender will send an appraiser out. They'll look at the home. They'll give it a value. Now, this is low. Okay, we were expecting around 125 to 130, but we're doing what's called a reconsideration of value because the appraiser made a mistake on this home. He considered it a 4-bedroom, but we have an argument and proof that this is actually a 5-bedroom, which would bump this up quite a bit. I would say like, I don't know, 10,000 or so, because the comps in the area for other 5-bedrooms are around $125 to $160,000. Okay, so we're going to request a reconsideration of value, And if they change this, we get 75% of this back, right? So whatever 75% of 116 is, I have the final numbers break down below. We get that back. We can pay off the original hard money loan, and whatever is left over from the rehab and the closing costs and from paying off the loan. Sometimes you have no money left in the deal. That's called infinite ROI. This is called the Burr method, but it's kind of hard to get a completely clean Burr where you get all of your capital out nowadays. So even if we can stay like $20,000 or less, and we're cash flowing $1,300 a month, this is a very, very strong deal. If you take it to any investor and they look at the numbers, they're going to be like, you're a genius, right? If you can do this consistently. So here's the final breakdown of the numbers. We purchased this property, $59,000 house, $59,000 as a purchase price, $32,000 rehab. Closing costs between the acquisition and the refinance was about $10,000. It was a little over $10,000. So total all-in cost was about $101,000 between the purchase price, rehab, closing costs. Now the refinance, the after repair value is $116, but we're hoping we can bump this up a bit and we get the reconsideration. We get 75% of that back when we refinance into a DSCR loan. This is an investment loan. It's not a conventional loan, so you're going to have a bit of a higher interest rate and some extra fees. But a conventional loan is going to go onto your personal side, so you're going to have some liability there, and it's going to affect your personal debt to income ratio, which we don't want. So this stays under the LLC or under the business that you purchased the property under. And you can see 75% of 116 is 87. We pay off the original loan. And so if we're taking a 7.375% 30-year loan, then we have, in this case, $14,000 left in the deal if we consider all these costs here. Okay, that means that we still have $14,000 left of our own money, where the client has $14,000 left of their own money in the deal. But that's okay, because the rent breakdown here, this is the monthly cash flow, $2,370 a month. The mortgage is around $601, property taxes $110, insurance $115, maintenance and reserves. We just allocate 10% of the rent towards maintenance and reserves. We just have like a budget that we set aside for things that pop up. So the total monthly expenses is $1,000.63. So if we take $2,370, we subtract $1,063, we have net monthly cash flow of $1,307. Annual cash flow is $15,685. Cash and cash return means 112%, which means that the investment, the $14,000, is going to be paid back on a period of 11 months. And then it's just infinite ROI, infinite profit from there, because there's no money left in the deal. So how would you like to buy something, a house that goes up in value, that generates you $1,307 a month in cash flow, and you pay it off in 11 months, and then it's just $1,307 a month, like clockwork, going into your account, or $2,370 going into your account, and $1,307 of that is profit. Once you build a portfolio like this, then you're sitting nice if you have 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 plus properties that is generating this kind of cash flow. Now, I want to be straight with you, because not every deal looks exactly like this. You're not always going to have a deal where you have an 11-month payback period and then you have infinite ROI and your cash flow in $1,307 a month. That's not going to happen every single deal. Sometimes we buy nicer neighborhoods, some B to A grade neighborhoods. I would say this is probably a solid C. And so when you have nicer neighborhoods, you have better appreciation potential and you have less maintenance and headaches on that side, but you don't have as good cash flow. So there's a balance there. I have nicer properties and I have other properties just like this. I probably have more properties like this in the C grade areas that cash flow heavily. So even if the deals don't look like this though, where we have more cash in, maybe we have $20,000 in or $30,000 in the deal, we always shoot for a minimum of 20% cash on cash return. So every dollar that we have invested in the deal, I want to be making 20 cents per year on a minimum basis, cash and cash return, and at least $500 a month in profit per property. If I can't make $500 per month, if I don't have a chance of doing that, then I'm not going to be looking at that deal. Okay. So this deal worked because we know the market. We operate in a very specific market. We're in the Ohio market, and I have a really strong team on the ground there. My own portfolio's there, so I eat my own dog food. And the system that I'm talking about right now, this is the exact system that I use to find and underwrite my own deals and operationalize it, where I rehab the property, and I find tenants, and I get them approved with the Section 8 program. So everything that I'm sharing here is also what I do with my own property, and then I also do it with clients. Okay. So most people, they never see numbers like this because they're looking in the wrong markets. We have a lot of clients who are in Hawaii and California and New York and Florida, in areas where it's a lot more expensive, where a starter home might cost $400K, $500K, $600K plus. And they're just trying to make the numbers work. But these types of deals are only going to work in specific markets. You can't expect to just look in your backyard and hope and pray that it works out. So you need to know exactly where to look, and you have to have the right team and the right system in order for this to work end to end. Now, most people that we talk to, by the time we talk to them, they've spent a lot of time, months, if not years, researching and analyzing and being too afraid to jump in because they don't know what they don't know. And they're kind of just guessing. Maybe they watched a few YouTube videos, maybe they listen to a bunch of podcasts, and they think they know, but you don't know until you actually get into it. Okay. Now, think about if you're looking at houses like this and you know what you're doing, you're working with someone that who knows what they're doing, and you have $100,000, okay? And you could take that $100,000 and you could build a portfolio with that. Imagine if you go through this process, what $100,000 would get you with this model. You're not buying just one property. At these price points, $59,000, where you maybe have $14,000, in this case, you could buy, 8 to 10 of these, okay? So you're not just buying one property because these properties are cheap, but they cash flow very well. At these price points, you can get into 3 to 5, if not more deals with $100,000, depending on the deal. Okay. Now, what could this look like for you? Well, let's say that you have 3 properties and we're doing a combined $2,000 to $4,000 a month in net cash flow. That's $24,000 to $48,000 a year on $100,000 deployed. That's a pretty good return. That's a 24 to 48% cash on cash return if you have $100,000 deployed and you're making $24,000 to $48,000. So name me something else, and name me another strategy that can get you those types of returns. And then you also have an asset that appreciates, and you also have something where you have tenants who are paying down your debt every month, and you're also getting tax benefits. There's not another asset like that exists. Now, let's say you actually go and build a 3-property portfolio using this strategy. 5 years out from now, the mortgages have been paid down a bit. The rents have gone up, right? Because rents increase over time. The properties have appreciated, and you're continuing to buy. This is how you build a multi-7-figure portfolio without needing multiple 7 figures in liquid cash to start, right? We can use a lot of leverage when we're purchasing real estate. So you just saw a full breakdown on a $59,000 house that is netting $1,307 a month in cash flow. And the initial capital invested in this deal is paid back in about 11 months. This is a strong deal. It's a very good deal. If you like deals like this and you would like some help with finding them and underwriting them, closing them, rehabbing his properties, finding and placing a tenant, getting him Section 8 approved, and having someone basically hand you a cash flowing portfolio, that's what we do at Prime Board Partners. This is a soup to nuts, done for you service. We do pretty much everything for you, 95 to 99% of the work for you. You basically just have to sign the papers and fund the deal. And we help you build at least a 3-property portfolio. We don't want you to get into this just to buy one property. We want to help you build a portfolio of properties that can match whatever you're making in your W-2. If you're a high-income professional, we want to help you build a portfolio that supplements your income and perhaps one day replaces it. So if you're interested in working with us on this service and you're interested in getting help, in the description, there's a link to a short video presentation. It's going to walk you through step-by-step how it works and how we can help you build a remote cash flowing rental portfolio so you never have to see your properties in person. We already have the market. We have the team. We have the system. You really don't have to do anything from scratch because we have it all for you, and we can find these deals and get them all the way to the finish line until you're collecting rent. So go ahead and watch that video. If it makes sense, there's going to be a link to book a call. We'll talk about your situation, what kind of capital you're working with, what your goals are, and we'll walk through exactly what it looks like to build you a cash flowing rental portfolio completely remote as well. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.